Hi, this is Brien Lundin with Gold Newsletter, and I'm talking with Bruce McLeod of Sabina Gold Silver. Bruce, one of the things I've been telling my readers is at this stage, when it looks like we're in the early stages of a new gold rally, hopefully we are, but at some point we will be. And the key is to invest in the companies that have identified large-scale, in some cases world-class resources, because they typically move first and fastest at beginning stages of a gold rally. Sabina just fits that mark to a T. I mean, you have millions of ounces, and it was interesting in your presentation today, the chart of how those ounces have grown since you took control of the company, even back before that. Can you talk a little bit about the nature of the Back River deposit or deposits and where you see those resources going?
Back River is a district. It's not a property. Mm-hmm. One of the things about working in areas that aren't historic mining areas, and certainly where we're operating is not at this stage, you're able to amass very large land positions. Yeah. We've been able to put together 80 kilometers of prospective property, and we've been focusing, since I've been with the company for 4 years, on really about 8 kilometers about that. So about 10% of our asset. And within that, we have globally within this district measured and indicated about 5.2 million ounces, another 2 million ounces of inferred, all at over 6 grams. And within what we call the Goose portion of the project, about 5 million of those ounces reside. Outside of that resource and reserve, we've actually made 3 very important discoveries, being Navoyuk, Llama Deep, and what we call Umwelt Vault. And what we're showing is that we're now starting to really connect the dots within these areas. And we haven't really stepped outside of that 8 kilometers. We've drilled a couple holes last one, what we call Boulder, which is about 20 kilometers away. Again, some reasonable gold numbers. I think it's really the early stages of us showing what the ultimate mineral potential and ultimate gold potential of this belt is.
That's amazing when you have 5-6 million ounces and you're at the early stages. What I find really interesting is some of the long sections that you have in your presentations where you show these new discoveries and really, somewhat advanced resources. And how you're extending these to depth, and you're not just connecting the dots and understanding similar geology on different deposits, but the potential that some of these connect at depth. And with these kinds of grades, you can certainly chase those to depth.
One of the things that we have shown, again, when we look at our reserves, when we look at our feasibility, we look at our economics, it's now a permitted project too, which is important in Canada and first world that does take longer durations than most investors have in terms of their investment thesis. That's behind us. But now what we've done is been able to show that not only do we have very, very high-grade open pits, but these continue at depth. And one thing that, although we haven't calculated a resource or a reserve on these new discoveries, they're fairly fresh. If we look at those 3 discoveries I spoke of earlier, all of them have one thing in common. They have a number of drill intercepts that are, on an average, about 50% higher grade than what we've seen in our already high-grade resources. So not only is there interconnectivity, we have the potential that they may be at equal or even better grade. And what we're showing now is that we've been able to chase these down to 1.2 kilometers below surface. The other end of the belt, where it's folded back to surface, we're now being able to chase it back from that side and closer to surface. So we really believe that what we found is not only additional ounces, but the ability to maybe connect some of these deposits that today are thought to be separate, that maybe there is some interconnectivity between them. It really does bode well for the future prospectivity.
Yeah, especially when you consider that one of the aspects that an investor looking at Sabina has to recognize the potential at some point of a takeover. And if you're long experience in this industry, it's important to have some mystery left in the deposit and not closed off. That when you go, if you ever go to sell this project, if you're ever in negotiations, you're really going to play that up, that you have a district here, and that these kinds of deposits, they go on and on and on. They don't run out in the typical life cycle of a mine.
No, the good thing about banded iron formations, when we have well-formed, under the right geologic conditions, banded iron formations, they can be one of the best deposit types in gold. They have, gold is generally from section to section. You get grade variations, you get shape variations, and in these big banded iron formations, again, section to section continuity in terms of the mineability makes them a better kind of a deposit. But they also tend to go to great depths. And we look at and I don't want to make a comparison to it, but it is another North American banded iron formation, and the granddaddy of them all is the Homestake lead mine, which never ran out of gold. It ran out of economics at almost 9,000 feet. So could that happen? Look, there is that possibility, but that's not what we're looking for. We've got another 80 years to find that if it exists.
Yeah. Well, and if you're looking at a major coming in at the project, of course, they like that ultimate potential. They think in terms of decades. They like that upside. They like that mystery. But also, your project has been significantly de-risked. I mean, where would the risk lie at this point? You're permitted. You've done all the hard work, the kind of work that isn't recognized, rewarded in the market. And at this point, you can go out and give the market what it wants as well in terms of drill results. That seems to be a luxury not a lot of companies can have.
The average time horizon of an investor might be 2 years if you find a good investor. Mm-hmm. The problem is to permit a project in Canada is we have spent between permitting and social license over 5 years and closer to $40 than $30 million. That isn't, it's accretive because it makes a project economic or binary or mineable or not, but from an investor's perspective, that's not the catalyst that they're often looking for. What is frustrating is you can spend 5 years doing that, you can deliver it, saying it's done, and you look at your stock chart after the fact and go, that wasn't very happy. But we can bring resources or drill holes forward that might be 12 or 15 years later in our mine life after the mill is up and running. And we can see those $250,000 drill holes deliver 2, 5, even 10% of additional market value. So we are lucky that we haven't come anywhere near developing the boundary limits of these deposits. Yeah. We continue to show they grow. We continue to de-risk them also because what is the investor worried about? Well, for a northern project, it's logistics and infrastructure. And what we've done is the first half of that is built our port facility. We did it for within the dollars that were estimated of the feasibility. But the second part is now operating that road network from the port's facility to the property. Mm-hmm. And we're in the midst of doing that. We're going to deliver that in this first quarter of this year. But also in terms of our capital cost is we need more certainty because people are afraid about capital overages, capital blowouts, and what we're going to do is convert that from a time and materials, a best efforts, an EPCM bid, to an EPC or a fixed price or turnkey type contract. And although it might come at a marginally higher price, it comes at a significantly reduced risk profile and risk to our shareholders. So those things combined with exploration, that continued de-risking, the continued growth of the asset, I think set us up for a great 19 in deliverables and in catalysts that in what we all hope will be a much better price environment.
And talking about catalysts, one of the things investors or potential investors, shareholders look for is what are the catalysts. You, again, can provide the market with some sizzle to sell the steak. Is that where we're going to see more drilling, more drill results?
You know what, we're mobilizing the end of February, early March. And a big part of that is to try and take some of these discoveries that we've made in 2018, 2017, and connect the dots even more so. And we might have some surprises on some new ones that we'll go after that are a little earlier stage also.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Bruce, for bringing us up to date.
Thank you very much, Brian.